make sure. Okay, and we are recording. So
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and ask, hello, welcome to interviewing. Thank you for your time. If you could give us just a brief introduction for our viewers.
So I've been in sales and marketing for probably 30 years now. I used to be in a much more technical field, electronics, but about 6.5 years ago, I thought, there must be something I can do better with my time than, missile programs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, I'll get into the senior world. And at the time when I first started out, I was doing senior placement, which is placing people into kind of their next home.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's assisted living or just independent living, but not owning their own home, or whether that's actually memory care, it depends on the service and care needs that they have. So that's kind of how I got involved. And over the course of time, I've just become I really consider myself more of a senior resource person.
Mm-hmm.
So I give a lot of free advice and also try to get more involved in advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's amazing. Okay, well, speaking of advocacy, can you give us an explanation of what elderly advocacy involves, or what it might mean to you, or what it really means, textbook kind of definition, excuse me.
So I thought about this from your list of questions, and I, trying to make kind of a concise definition. But for me, it's really representing those people that are unable to represent themselves for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And then kind of supporting their concerns, their issues, and just address maybe legislation, for example, that affects the senior world.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I completely agree. I think it's really important that we get to share their stories and make sure they're properly cared of as well.
Well, many of them don't really have a voice. Mm-hmm. Because they live at home, they live alone. Surprisingly many don't have family, and they're not getting out, they're not talking to other people. Mm-hmm. And so we need to be concerned about them, as well as people that get up and go to the senior center and participate in other activities. So it's kind of a mixed bag.
No, I totally see that. Excuse me, I'm going to look at my questions while we're doing this too. But
I'm going to look at my answers.
Yeah, there we go. Team effort. I love it. What are some common issues that the elderly face, aside from, making sure that they at least have some opportunity to have a voice?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things that we have to advocate on their behalf is defunding of critical programs. Mm-hmm. So, for example, you're probably aware that recently Governor Newsom was planning on cutting Meals on Wheels, cutting funding for adult daycare, and several other related activity support for seniors. And, well, that roused everybody, certainly in Orange County. So, we all jumped on that bandwagon, writing letters to our representatives. And Alzheimer's OC is extremely good at rallying everybody and providing them with easy ways to do that. So you don't have to go look up everything. They just provide you with a form if you want, and you can just fill it out. So maintaining funding of critical programs, you represent Meals on Wheels, I can't even go into how important that is.
Yeah, it's a really big deal. It seems so tiny, but that tiny thing, makes the biggest effect for the community. Well,
first off, it's just a contact every day. Because I'm sure most people have 5 days a week delivery. So it's that contact every day with at least one person. Then you're getting nutritious food. You know, M&Ms is not a meal, sadly.
As much as I want it to be.
Exactly. You know, or potato chips, or, you know, easy things to just eat. You can go sit in the chair, eat things out of a bag. So this kind of forces you in a way to sit down at the table and eat a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. So I think that's so important, so important. And then I think one of the other things that's really critical is advocacy for research programs that in particular concern seniors. And that might be Alzheimer's research, dementia research, you know, getting people involved in studies, if possible. UCI Mind has a lot of studies that they do, and you can get involved, even a 90+ study. I think another one is elder abuse, whether it's physical or financial. And it's one of those things that you, as neighbors, you know, as friends, kind of need to follow people, which was one of the other questions you had later on. But just to be aware and to know that you can report these things to Adult Protective Services. The district attorney's office in Orange County has a special group of attorneys that handle just elder abuse.
Yeah.
I think isolation is another pretty big issue, problem, for people that live alone, that can't move or don't want to move into a community setting. And, you know, you just have to make sure that people have some social contact. And then the last one I think that's really critical is the money issue. You know, many seniors run out of money because people are simply living longer. They're not anticipating living until they're, you know, 95 or 98 or 102. And now what? You know, so I think these are all things that everyone needs to be concerned about, because we're all getting to be seniors at some point. And you can't just stop living your life. So I think those are critical programs that, you know, probably have to be legislated for. The funding to just simply help people that can't afford food or can't afford rent or whatever it is. So I think those are kind of my big five.
No, and I definitely see that, but I know it's hard for a lot of people to recognize those signs. Are there any telltale ways we can see where they're struggling financially or emotionally, or just things we can recognize in our family or friends?
Well, I think there's some, you know, really simple things that you can take a look at. One of those is just actually looking. So, you know, instead of walking by their house every day or driving by, or to actually see, do they come out of their house? Do they get their mail? Do they seem, you know, steady on their feet? Do they need help? You know, big thing to look at is, are they keeping themselves clean? Are they wearing the same clothes every day of the week? And are they themselves clean? Are they, you know, you can kind of tell that somebody's showering, is somebody washing their hair? You know, that's I think a really important indicator of their health and well-being. And then I think another one that a lot of people don't think about is hoarding. So, if you go into their house, which is, kind of useful, if somebody in the neighborhood or a couple of people in the neighborhood or, even a 10-year-old or something can run by and say, oh, I just wanted to say hi, and, can we play in your yard, or whatever it is, just to have some connection. But if you notice hoarding going on, that's a real sign that people need help. Do they hoard animals? So there's one thing to hoard newspapers and boxes and stuff, but you hear about people that have 40 cats at home. They're clearly not able to take care of that many animals. So that's something that is pretty obvious. Just engage with people wherever you can. If that means, hey, Mrs. Jones, can we mow your lawn? Can we take out your trash once a week? It's not only doing the favor, the service, but the contact again. Because somebody knows that even if nobody calls me all week, I know that Johnny and Susie are going to come over and roll my trash can out on Thursday evening. So, it's just little things. And I think really helping people volunteer to visit them, even if it's one day a month, one day every 2 weeks, to just stop by, say hi. You can kind of have a little look around what's going on, and also to notice other really important things like, are they eating? Are they taking their medication? If they don't look stable, they maybe are not taking their medication. So, if there's no food in the refrigerator, they're obviously not eating properly. So, those are interventions that you can easily take care of by doing Meals on Wheels, which can be free. If you can't afford it, they'll deliver food for free. And I think that's, pretty important. If you see people losing a lot of weight, oh, she looks very thin. These are all times to get involved. And most people don't want to get involved. So, sometimes it's just the children in the neighborhood that notice things that their parents don't, or their older brothers and sisters don't. And many of them are still pretty empathetic. So they're happy to go over and do simple things for people.
That connection and communication is really important.
So important.
So important, especially this day and age, to really teach our younger generations how to care for our elderly. And, like you said before, we all get old. You got to start learning and taking those extra steps to really care for however long you may live.
Right. I mean, and it doesn't take a huge amount of time. You don't have to invest a lot of your time, an hour, a half hour. Just kind of have a little looky-loo around. Does everything look tidy? Can I help you? Hey, can I help you put those dishes in the dishwasher? It's all about little things.
Yeah, taking that first step. I completely agree. Well, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any final words to say?
I just think that all ages need to be involved with just thinking about aging, and they have grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles. There are older members of their families, and maybe that's a start, is just, hey, I'm going to go over and see Aunt Betty today. she lives a couple blocks away, but I'm going to take her a cupcake. You know, it's just such simple things. And then to say, did you notice anything, you know, odd? Because again, I think children notice things that other, you know, even older teenagers don't notice because they're in such a hurry.
Mhm. Right. Well, thank you so much again.
You're
And I will
welcome.
make sure to
Thank
post
you.
all of your social medias and ways to contact you at the bottom. I'm
Okay.
going to stop